Hey everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. This is Amanda and thank you so much for being here. If you're new, welcome. If you're coming back, thank you so much for being here. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, comment on my videos, and share with your friends because it really does help my channel grow. Let's get into the DIYs. Okay, so here's DIY number one. So this is a $1 candle from the Dollar Tree. It's an LED candle. Right now you can get them in white. Um, Whenever I find them in white, I literally like scoop up a whole bunch. So that picture on my phone was kind of my inspiration. That's kind of what I was going for. Um, I tried to use pencil on this, but obviously that wasn't going to work. So Sharpie it is. And I am just drawing on the face that I am going to put on here. So it's going to change over time, and this was a learning process, but I promise you at the end you are going to love this because it is so cool. So I was never really into Halloween, but my friend is, and she kind of got me addicted to it. So I don't watch scary movies, and I don't like scary Halloween, but I like whimsical, fun, bright, colors with the purple and the orange Halloween. So I am using my hot glue gun and I'm just going over where I wrote. Now, this is the learn from me. Put something down to hold your candle because it rolled and the glue just kind of came off on the side. So, and then don't drop it. So I just got to let this glue dry. And so where I rolled it and it came off, I'm just going to put some more glue on the side there. No biggie. It stayed. So here's the magic. So we're going to use Mod Podge and toilet paper. So you want to take your toilet paper and you want to split the plies. So you want it to only be one ply. So if you were lucky to have one ply toilet paper in your house, you could skip that step. But I have 2-ply, so I had to split them. So I'm just putting it I let the glue dry mostly, and then I put a sheet of toilet paper over the glue and a little bit of Mod Podge. So I do Mod Podge on the bottom and I do it on the top. So this is going to be layer after layer after layer, and that's how you're going to achieve the end look of all of this. There's no like exact science to this, guys. It is just layers and layers and layers, and you keep building up until you have achieved the look that you're going for. So I will be making some more of these, and I'm going to try to do a little bit more of a happy face on them, but I think my little mummy came out super cute in the long run. So lots of Mod Podge, lots of ripping, lots of layers. So I want to say I probably put like 4 or 5 layers of the toilet paper on this by the time it was all said and done. Maybe even 5 or 6. I just kept going until I got the look that I was going for. And you can go all the way around this candle with the toilet paper and it will give the whole candle that old crepey look to it. And then I just added a little bit of water to help get into those spaces around the hot glue so that I could get in there without ripping the toilet paper off, because you'll see if you try to like stick your finger in there and like push in, it'll rip it'll just like stick right to your finger and rip right off. Okay, so I did dry it a little bit, and then as you can see here, there's hot glue over the top of the last layer of toilet paper. So I let that dry, and this is Cashew from Waverly Chalk Paint that I picked up at Walmart. And I am just going to coat this entire piece in the front here with the, and all the toilet paper with this, because it reminds me more of like the bone color, like if this was a skeleton. So I don't know what it comes out at the end. I think it's a skeleton. It might be a mummy. You could do different colors. You could have done orange and made it look like a pumpkin. And so then this is me just experimenting with making the dimensions inside this paper. So I first picked up this reddish brown color, but then I wasn't digging it. So then I grabbed my tried and true burnt umber, and that's what I ended up using as, you know, the shadowing. That's the word I'm looking for, the shadowing in around the eyes and the mouth and the nose. So this is the fun part. Like once you get to this part, this is the part where you're going to have a lot of fun building up the colors and figuring out how you like it. So I got a piece of paper towel and I'm just blotting it because I don't want it to be stark. Like the whole point is that this is supposed to look old and spooky, but a fun spooky. So a layer of the cashew, and see, I just keep going over and over and over again until I really find the look that I'm going for. But I wanted his mouth to have dimension, his eyes to have dimension, his nose to have dimension. We're going to call him Fred. This is Fred the candle. Now I've made several projects using toilet paper. I'm telling you, there's so many things. Mod Podging toilet paper makes everything look older. And I have made a Hocus Pocus book. So my favorite movie in the holiday season, and actually, I'm not going to lie, I watch it several times a year, is Hocus Pocus. I love that movie. Can't get enough of it. And so I made myself a spell book. And I use toilet paper and hot glue just like this. If you want to see me make one of those, comment below that you want to see my tutorial on how to make the book, and I will put up a whole video on that. So what I did is I have the cashew base, and I took my squatty brush right there, and I dry brushed the black on it. I thought I was recording, but apparently I wasn't. And I just kind of went over, and then I went over again and another layer with the cashew, and you're going to see me like go layer after layer after layer. So then I wanted it to look like the candle was melting, so I just used my hot glue gun to put little squiggles down the side that make it look like the candle is melting itself. So you got to really let this dry before you mess with it. So I was watching a movie while I was doing this. It was like literally I recorded 50 minutes of this. So it is a little time consuming, but all you got to do is put on your favorite show, put on a podcast, an audiobook, and just enjoy yourself and enjoy the time that it takes to do this, because it was a lot of fun. I really thoroughly enjoyed this particular project. So make sure if you guys are loving what you see that you subscribe, like, and share my channel. It really helps my channel grow. And once I hit 1,000 subscribers, I am going to do an awesome giveaway of a bunch of Dollar Tree items that I've used in my videos since I started, so that you can recreate some of the stuff that I have created. So to give it that little drippy look, I used white because I wanted it to stand out above that cashew color, and I wanted you to be able to really see it, because if I would have done cashew, then you would have been able to see it, but it wouldn't have stood out as much as I really wanted it to. So I'm just putting more and more little dribbles down the side. You do as many or as little as you like. And then I added white to it, and then here I am back with the cashew going around the sides to make it look more blended. So I'm using the cashew to really blend the colors here. But as you can see, this is coming out so cute, and I can't wait for you to see at the end, in the end shot where it's all lit up, and it is so adorable. Like, you would not even think that this was a Dollar Tree candle. That, I mean, honestly, time, toilet paper, hot glue, and a little bit of paint, and I made this. This is a $1 project, guys. A $1 project. Super easy and a lot of fun, and you can make several of them and do different little things. I'll make 2 more because I have this weird thing about everything being in 3s. So I did go around the rest of the candle with the cashew so that it all matched, because even though you're not going to see the back of the candle, I know it's there, so I wanted it to all be that cashew color so that all the little drippies that are all the way around really stand out and you can see them. The good news is I saw these candles yesterday when I was out and about shopping at the Dollar Tree, and so I know that they're there, so you better run and get them because they sell out so quick. Because sometimes they have red ones and they have them all the time, but the white ones are harder to come across, or it's like a cream. So I'm just adding some more black chalk paint here, and I'm just doing the layers. So I'm giving it that, I don't want it to look solid. I want it to look old and layered. And here comes the end shot. Look at how cute this is. I love it. It is so awesome. Just enough of it shows through so that you can see the light. I hope you guys love this as much as I do. DIY number 2. So this is gonna be fun. So this is a book I got from the Dollar Tree and a skeleton head that I got from the Dollar Tree as well. So again, this is a $2 project. So I am going to make it look like the skull is coming out of the middle of this book. So I have to cut off the back of his head in order for it to look right. So you're going to see me cutting and cutting and cutting and trimming and trimming and trimming because I need it to lay just right in order to get it to lay in there the way that I wanted it to lay. So I'm just performing some surgery here. He's getting a cranial operation. And definitely be careful with your razor blade because this could be dangerous. So I just cut off the back of his head and then I trim as I felt like I needed to get it to sit just right. So this video is going to be a lot of me figuring out how my envision of this is going to come out. So I first just tried to glue him on, but that wasn't going to work. So he was like, I'd bend him and then he'd come off and the glue wasn't going to be enough. So you can see I'm trying to scrape off the glue from these pages, and then I realize I got lots of other pages to do. So let me just take these off. And when I take them off, look what it reveals. I love that. So I'm glad that that's what's in the shot when you see it coming out of the front. So again, I'm just messing with this. I know I pulled it out of the shot, but I'm trying to figure out how exactly it is that I'm going to get this to work. So then I come up with this ingenious idea of I'm going to tie up the book and try to do it like that, but that didn't work either. Okay, so here I took push pins and I just pushed through the plastic into the book. So this is like my placeholder for this. So it grabbed a few pages when I did it, which is perfect. And I was able to get it in there just the way that I liked. Just a couple tries to get it exactly where I wanted it to be. And you'll see that it comes out the way I want it to. So this is the fun part. You play with this. If you're going to recreate it, but just know that it's going to take a little bit of finagling in order to get it exactly the way that you want it. Okay, so now that I have it where I want, I'm just going to take the book in one hand and hold up the ends. And then with the other hand, I'm going to take my glue gun and I'm going to just squirt like a whole boatload of glue in there. So now the glue is going to serve two purposes. It's going to hold the face where I want it to be. And then number two, it's going to almost look like skin coming off of the skull with the pages. It actually looks really cool. So I just held it there for quite some time to let it do its drying thing. And then I decided I wanted to like fluff up the rest of the book. So I just took certain pages and then I kind of just squished them in, and I used my handy dandy stapler to staple them up so that it's pushing up against the middle, and I did that to both sides. So then I realized I had taken it a little too far, so I removed the staples because I wanted to crinkle the pages. Now, hindsight being 2020, you could crinkle these in advance. You could like coffee or tea stain the entire book. There's a billion other ways that you could do this, but this is what worked for me because as I always say, it's just a work in progress, and I have this idea in my head, and I'm trying to get it out in the project that's in front of me. So sometimes it is a little process for me to figure out what I want to do. So, but I definitely love the pages being like scrunched and stapled onto the book because I love the way that gives it. It looks like it's literally like the book was flying open and out comes this face. Almost like if you're a Harry Potter fan, you know what I'm talking about. The exact scene, and I can't remember which movie it is, where he's looking for somebody's name in a book and the face comes popping out. That's kind of what I was imagining, but like a skeleton face. So now that I have fluffed and crinkled some pages, I'm going to paint the skull using my plaster. So the plaster, you know how I love it. It's not quite white, but it's not quite cream. It's somewhere in the middle. And I wanted to use this because this skull looks super fake. Like the color, the plastic, it just looks fake. So I was just helping it out a tad to help it look a little bit more realistic. Gotta have some white teeth. Some white teeth. That's the word I'm looking for. And so you can see the glue in that shot right there where it almost looks like it's skin coming off. It is so awesome. I love it. So I didn't give it a solid full coat because, again, I want it to look spooky and old, but not a solid color because then it defeats the purpose. So I started off with my antique wax here and my stenciling brush, and I just went on the edges of the pages just to give them that aged look to them. And I do actually go in between the pages too that I have wrinkled because I really want them to look old and aged. And then where I went over with the brown, I did take some plaster on there just to kind of dull it down a little bit because I wanted to have it more blended. So then I decided I needed a bigger brush to make the magic happen. So I switch on over to my bigger paintbrush, and I really just get in there and I just use this wax to age up my book. So I just take some more pages off of where the staples were, and I scrunched some more because I wanted it to look fuller in the front there. And I'm just kind of like folding them back and forth and kind of almost like a fan, like you would make an old school paper fan. That's what I was doing to help fluff it up. So now this is the cool part. So I wanted to bend them up a little bit and one of the fingers broke, but that's okay because this is super cool like this. So I want to say I got these at the 99-cent store last year. But what makes this super awesome is this is my stand for the book. So if you have, you know, like a plate stand or whatever, you could stand this up. But I just loved these skeleton hands to put on here, and when I'm standing the book up, it holds the book up. Plus it looks like the skeleton is holding the book. So I thought that was really cool, and I just used a boatload of hot glue and stuck it on there. So then you can also see the bats in the picture there, and I just wanted to add one more little element of the bat hanging around his head. You could have it coming out of its eyeball. You could skip the bat, but because it was glittery, I wanted to tone it down just a little bit. So I took some of my plaster paint and I just dry brushed it over it so that it melds more into the book rather than standing out on its own, because I just want everything to look like it goes together. So I'm just going to mess with placement here and where I figure out where I want to put it, and then I just glue it in there with some hot glue. You could even stick flowers in the top of this and make it look like a flower, like a skull vase. That would be really cool too. So I love, 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 love this project, and it cost me $2, some paint, some time, some staples, and some hot glue. So this shot I'm showing you that I went back and I actually glued down those front pages just so it looked like it was folding open. And then here's the final shot. I hope you guys love this book as much as I do, and I would definitely love to see if you recreate it. Make sure to tag me on Instagram if you do, and my Instagram will be in the detail box down below. So here we are at DIY number 3. So they came in a 3-pack at the Dollar Tree super briefly, wire rings, and I used the bigger one for something else. So these are the 2 smaller ones. And I'm just going to clip off and make it look like a C, basically. And they cut off really easy. And then I'm going to take, so I kind of bent it a little bit. So I'm going to take my pliers and I'm just going to straighten it out a little bit so it's not all wonky. And then I'm going to take the smaller ring and I'm going to connect those 2 end pieces. And if you can see it like I see it, it looks like a moon to me. So I'm just going to take some zip ties and I'm going to zip tie those corners. So the zip ties aren't going to stay to the end because we're going to wrap this with yarn, and the yarn actually holds it all together. So I was able to take off the zip ties at the end, but this is just so that I could do it for this moment. So this is me attempting to use the entire roll to go in and out of this thing, and then finally I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna work. So I cut off some pieces, and I wrap, 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 and I wrap. I think it took me like 45 minutes to wrap this, so you're not gonna watch me wrap it. You're gonna get the fast forward version, and see what happens after the whole thing has been wrapped all the way around. Okay, so the magic of television, and we fast forward. So we're clipping off the zip ties that we had used, and it is totally holding with just the ribbon. So, but as I was doing the yarn all the way around, it did get skinnier and skinnier, but I still love the outcome of this. I think it's really cute. If you don't have those wire rings, you can use a wreath form, and you're just going to cut out like the ends. So you're going to cut it into a moon shape essentially. So this is a bamboo chopping board from the Dollar Tree, and I am going to sand it lightly because they're kind of shiny, so it's like not the easiest surface to paint, but a little light sanding, and it makes it easier from there. And then that Welcome My Pretties is a Chalk Couture stencil, and I have the link up to Chalk Couture in my description box down below. I love them because they're reusable, and I could make multiples of the same thing, and I'm not wasting anything because the paint that you use them, you use such a little amount. So this is just ink by Waverly, which is their black, and I'm just going to slap a coat of paint on here. I'm not going for full coverage because I am going to distress it back a little bit, so that way it looks a little bit more rustic and spooky rather than just a solid black. So I don't want it to look like a chalkboard, I want it to look like a sign. So I'm going to clean up my big old mess, dry her up, and there it is. So I'm just going to take my sanding block again, and I'm going to go around the edges, and then I'm just going to rough up a little bit in the middle there too. So these are the newer bamboo boards from the Dollar Tree, and they're so much better than the older ones. The older ones were so slick, it was so hard to paint on them, but just a little light sanding on this and it totally did it. So I'm going to take my transfer off its backing, and this is my fuzzing cloth, and I'm fuzzing it and fuzzing it and fuzzing it. Basically, you do this so that it's not so sticky that it's going to take off the paint off your project down below, and that it'll be reusable. So I'm just going to eyeball it for the center here, and then I'm going to use my chalk pastes to do the thing. So I decided to do white for Welcome, a hot pink for my pretties in the hat, and then a gold shimmer for the moons. And so satisfying when you pull that back. I love it. So here it is. I did sand it down just a wee bit. And so I'm going to put my moon on the top of this board. So I was just kind of figuring out placement, just a little hot glue on that yarn, and it'll stick on there just perfect. So you got to remember when you're picking it up that it's only glued on one side, but I've moved mine around all over the place and it is holding together perfectly. So I'm just cleaning up some of the excess glue I got on there. And so I'm not putting glue on right here, but if you use the tip of your hot glue gun, it'll melt the glue that you have on your project existing and help it smooth it out better, like if you have lumps and bumps or whatever. So that's a good trick to have. And then these are just little bats that I picked up on Amazon last year, and they come in a pack of like, I want to say there was 50, maybe even 75, but they're the kind that you use to put on your walls that look like they're flying in the night. And I've just been using them to add to some of my projects, and again, I'll use them on my walls for Halloween. So this is super glue, double-sided tape, and so I'm using those to put them on there onto the yarn, and then I'm going to use hot glue to hot glue this last bat black the last bat onto the wood. And that's it. Super easy. So I'm going to flip this over now. Oh, and then there was a little bit of tape showing, and so I just used a black Sharpie, and you can't even notice it now. So I'm going to flip it over, and we're going to put a hanger on the back. So I just took a little jute cord and my handy dandy stapler, and I just stapled it on there. And then to help make sure that it doesn't slide through the staples, I'm going to put a dollop of glue on each side and then use this ribbon just to kind of help secure it down even more. It's not heavy, so I wasn't really worried about it, but this hanger, it will be perfectly sufficient. This would be cute placed in a wreath that you create, or I have another willow wreath that I'm thinking I'm going to spray paint black and glitter, and this sign came out so cute and so easy. So here is our lovely end shot. I hope you guys like this. Let me down in the comments below which DIY you guys like the best, and I'm so excited to bring up the next one for you. So the next one is another great one too. I thank you guys so much for all your comments, likes, and shares. And if you're at this point and you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe because it really helps my channel. So here we are at DIY number 4. So this is the infamous dollhouse turned haunted house DIY, another thing I've seen all over the internet. And again, I don't know who the originator is of this, but whoever it was ingenious. So they made like a full-scale like vignette out of this, and I'm actually making mine into a light-up sign. So I am doing my thing here to this house. So first I'm going to paint it in the chalk paint and ink, which is just their black. So any black paint will do good for this, and you're going to need a couple coats. So of course you could take this outside and spray paint it, but I had black paint right in front of me, so I just painted it by hand. That's how I prefer to paint, is by hand. Yeah, but you can paint it, you could spray paint it. I mean, I think I tried to spray paint something else that was plastic like this once, and it didn't really stay, so I like to get on all those nooks and crannies and like push the paint in, so I'm hand painting here. So this sign is from the Dollar Tree. I picked this up just a couple months ago, so it's from this year. And I love their square signs because they do so good for so many different projects. So I'm just going to remove the hanger from the back with my handy dandy staple remover. And I'm going to sand down where I ripped that out of there. So I'm using a black, purple, blue, orange, and pink. And these are all acrylic paints. Well, the first one is the Dollar Tree chalkboard paint. So I'm going to do kind of like a spooky ombre. So I'm going to start with the black on the bottom. And you're going to see I'm going to get all kinds of messy here. So the black on the bottom. And then I take the purple and I squirt some down. Now onto the blue. Then we're going to do some orange. finish with a little bit more black here. And then I wanted to add a little bit of pink at the bottom there. This is totally personal preference. Like, you can either do this part or not do this part, but I just didn't want it to be solid black in the background. Like, I wanted it to be like a spooky ombre. I guess that's the best way to put it. And when you're doing like an ombre, the paint still has to be wet so that they kind of blend in together, because you don't want it to be like a line and a line and a line of color. You definitely want to have it be a transition of color. Then I wanted to add a little bit more orange here. And then so I'm using like a totally like different brush just to blend in these last pieces here. I used a lot of brushes for this one. So I'm going to dry it all up, and there it is, so pretty, all dry and ready to go. So I am taking my sanding block, and I'm just going to distress it a little bit, because like I said, we're going for spooky, we're going for whimsical, and I didn't want it to be, you know, like, oh, hey, this girl painted these colors on this board. So I always love to sand things down because I feel like it gives it just a little bit extra. I need a new sanding block here. You'll see me pull out some sandpaper, like actual sandpaper, in a minute. But yes, this is a messy process. I'm a messy painter anyway, so it is what it is. So if you guys are liking my channel, loving these DIYs, make sure that you subscribe. If you haven't subscribed already, like, comment, and share with your friends. I super appreciate you guys, because my channel is growing and growing by the day, and I cannot tell you how thankful I am for the love that I am getting from all of you guys liking my videos and commenting. It means so much to me. I'm barely 2 months in, and you're going to see that it's always all a learning curve, and I'm not quite used to people, you know, I've been crafting forever, but crafting under a camera is a lot different. So I'm just going to add some detail to my dollhouse here, and I wanted to do purple as like the wall color, and then I'm going to add some other colors here and there. So this is the part where I'm saying, like, I'm not used to crafting in front of a camera. So I recorded this one actually a couple months ago, and I was so excited to do it, but I knew you guys weren't ready for Halloween DIYs yet, so I saved it. Okay, so I'm just going to, I added a little orange to the windows, and now I'm adding a little white to give it more of that, I'm distressing it basically, distressing it with the white. You could distress it with silver, you could distress it with gray, you could do, you know, all kinds of different colors, but I thought I really liked the white. And you just go ahead and play with it until your eyes are happy. So now I'm going to apologize in advance for the rest of this video. I don't know what happened, but apparently because I put the camera so up close when I was painting the little house, that the rest of the video is blurry. But I didn't, you're going to want to see the whole thing. So I did speed it up. You're not going to be tortured for too long, but I'm just drawing like a spooky fence, and I'm using a gray color here. And then I'm going to go back with white and just highlight it a little bit, just get it to stand out a little bit more off that backing. And then I wanted to have stars. They're big stars. But like I said, I wanted it to be spooky, whimsical. That's what I was going for here. So I'm going to add a big O moon on the top here, and I just did literally dollops of the orange and dollops of the green, and then I take that, I mean not the green, the yellow, and then I take that big brush and I just twist it. You can see how I twist it, and I'm just mixing the two colors but still having some depth in between the two of them. So I did puncture a hole through that sign there, and then these lights came from the Dollar Tree. So I was shoving all kinds of things in that hole trying to make it big enough to fit in there. So finally I get it so that I could get the string through there. So I just string it through, put my batteries in, also from the Dollar Tree. And isn't it so pretty? I love these orange mesh lights. I put them all over the top of my cabinets during when I put my Halloween decor up. So I'm going to use some Jenga blocks to kind of build up the back of this. So in the back of this is, it has a top floor and a bottom floor. And so I'm just going to glue the Jenga blocks, 2 on the bottom and 1 on the top floor, because I needed something to glue to the board itself without like having, piles of glue coming out the side of the house. I didn't want that. So I just added 3 little Jenga blocks to give me something to glue onto. Now it did take a hot minute for the glue to adhere to the plastic with the paint over the top of it onto the wood. So just be patient and hold it on there and it will dry. Because like I said, I made this 2 months ago, and I've moved it all over the place, and it is still 100% stuck on there, no problems. So I just put some hot glue on there on the Jenga blocks, and then I push that directly onto the sign. And it is so cute, all lit up. So now we're talking, this was a $3 DIY. $1 for the sign, $1 for the dollhouse, and $1 for the lights. Gotta have you some Diet Dr. Pepper when you're crafting. Anybody else? Is that like anybody else's soda of choice? Is Diet Dr. Pepper? I don't drink soda a lot, but when I do, it's Diet Dr. Pepper. So now I'm just going to embellish it a tad. And so I got these little jack-o'-lantern foam pumpkins from the Dollar Tree. They came in a set of like 4 or 5. And I'm just using my utility knife to cut them in half. And then I'm just going to glue them right onto the board. And of course, no Halloweeny project is complete without a spider on it. So I love these purple spiders from the Dollar Tree. I just pulled a little, because they're like clip-on spiders. So I just pull the clip off where the clip was, and then I glue it to the top of the house, and then one on the side. So you'll get to see the end shot right now. Thank you guys so much for watching this all the way through. If you watched it through the blurry part, go ahead and put a spider emoji. You guys are awesome. Rock stars. I love you to death. I hope you guys love this, and I can't wait to see who recreates it.